Hey, old man, new guy here. Welcome to part one of my Cibolo Creek tour. This is part one. Cibolo Creek is a stream in south central Texas. It runs approximately 96 miles from its source near Bernie, Texas, to its confluence with the San Antonio River. I'm going to be focusing just on this section here in the Selma Universal City area for the purposes of this episode. Oh, so peaceful, so nice. Along the backside of the creek, it slopes up dramatically and eventually turns into cliffs. But I noticed along this backside there was this grove of bamboo, a curious grove of bamboo that it doesn't exist anywhere else down there. And I assume that it must have proliferated from somebody's backyard at the top of the hill, because that's Universal City at the top of that hill back there. I tried to enter from a couple of different spots, but it was impassable. So I walked up around the backside, up the hill, and eventually just came up to a barbed wire fence on the side of the hill. And I figure maybe in the future I'll come back and try a little harder or whatever. But then I moved on, and as I walked further, I found a car sticking out of the ground. So I walked back up to check it out, and it obviously slid down the hill probably during the flood of 98 and got buried. I'm not sure what kind of car it is. It's late 50s model. Could be a Ford, could be a Chevy. I'm not sure. So I looked around and it's pretty complete. There doesn't appear to be a front end on it, but there is a trunk, and the door is open and it's all there. So I don't know. If I get bored, I might bring a shovel back and see if I can't excavate part of it. This section of the creek is really noisy because it lies directly in the landing path of T-38s returning to nearby Randolph Air Force Base. It's also the reason I won't fly a drone in this section. Later, I met up with my brother, Chef Nolan, and listened to him justifiably complain about the healthcare industry. I was in agreement, but couldn't offer much comfort.
Yeah, it's like, well, you accepted my copay like I was.
Yeah.
So that sounds like your fucking issue, you know, and then they want to charge me like $500 after the fact.
Yeah.
Just that kind of bullshit in this country, man.
Yeah. Yeah, the copay, I'm sorry. It's like, give me my money back then, you know? Yeah, you can see here, this is also a disc golf course. There's a lot of these in this area. It's what they've turned this into. So there's always, you know, people down here walking, playing disc golf, walking their dogs, all that kind of stuff. We'll keep going here. So anyway, after a short walk, we arrive at the magnificent cliffs of Dover. But these are the most prominent cliffs in this part of the creek, and were apparently used by Native American people to hunt buffalo back in the day. A short walk up the backside takes you up to the largest visible cave, which is covered in graffiti and is obviously some sort of a teenage speakeasy of sorts. On the journey up, I could hear voices of young people smoking marijuana and carrying on, obviously skipping school. So this is obviously a refuge for such types. One of the many caves of Cibolo Creek. A little bit of a breeze in here, a little cooler. Come in here for all your high school shenanigans, devil worshiping, whatever the case may be. So we're still walking the creek bed, and now we've got to this new structure here. They're putting in a road with concrete embankment, and we're just gonna walk on this road. It's a nicer surface. At the time when I filmed this, I wasn't aware that they were making this road, which cuts across the creek from FM 1518 over into Universal City, which is pretty nice considering it bypasses IH-35, but it's going to create some problems too with cars. On the other side of the road, the creek still has water in it. It's really the first area where there's standing water in this part of the creek. You can see a crane back there. It kept eluding me when I was trying to film it. Little walk further back, and you can see the creek continues to widen and has a lot more water, and people are leaving me Orange Crush, baby. Hells yeah. Found this curious hole in the ground here. As I approach this, I imagine myself blindly jumping into it, only to discover that it's a well. And it was actually quite a bit deeper than you can detect on camera. There's debris at the top, and it's muddy and so forth, cloudy, but it's a lot deeper. And I'd hate to jump in there in desperation. This is the creek crossing where you see the water from the main creek cuts across here. There's a small bridge somebody made. The water meanders back in here, gets deeper back there. And then out of desperation or boredom, I spent way too much time filming this stupid corrugated pipe. Okay, it's not an aircraft fuselage. It's not a sandworm from Dune. Okay, get over it. We're actually came up in elevation. We're on the other side of the creek. There's still water down there, stagnant water. Then we started to see part of a deer carcass on the ground, and curiously, when I looked closely at the remnants of the hide, it looked like somebody stuck a sock on it or something. It's kind of gross. And then meander down here, and you can see the rest of it. Carcass eaten so nicely. Here's another one of the many sections along here that still has water in it. Decent amount of water. It's kind of lovely, actually. Wildlife and everything back there. I did run into people fishing. So it's, as of early March, it was still like this. As the summer goes on, it'll dry up and get swampier. But it was still quite nice when we were back here. Turtle, right? As secluded as this part of the creek is, you can clearly hear traffic from IH-35 in the background, which is not far away, and you can still hear the jets from Randolph Air Force Base. So there is a little bit of noise in this area. In the background, very background, you can see a sign from the highway out there. Okay, we've just been hiking Cibolo Creek, 3-4 miles, probably 3 miles, something like that. And we're in an area we've never been before, and we've just found the ultimate Pennywise hideout. I'll show you that right now. Pennywise, eat your heart out, baby. As I walked this section of creek, I did find a couple of hobo campsites. This one was the worst one that I found. Not as common as I thought it was going to be, honestly. I didn't find that many, but that was just in this one section, maybe 4 mile section of the creek. So as I continue to explore, I'm sure I'll find other areas, but that's part of the fun, baby. Okay, so I'm at 35 now, just off the access road, and you can already tell how noisy it is over here. But the creek keeps running through here. But I'll show you some of the construction they're working on here. One of the worst sections of 35 in the country. Okay, so this concludes part 1 of Up the Creek, ending here at 35. Next episode, we'll go even further to areas that I haven't actually been yet, and just keep exploring. Thank you.